How is everybody doing today? And in this video, we are going to be talking about our next stream marketing character in 3.1, and that is going to be Myday. Myday is going to be an imaginary destruction character, which I feel like we haven't seen a destruction character in so long in this game. And it's funny because basically, destruction characters used to be the #1 DPS in the game. I'm talking about Don Hunk when he first came out, Jingli Yu when he first came out, or she first came out, and the same thing goes to even someone like Blade. Destruction was the powerhouse central of a path, and we kind of haven't seen them be in that light in quite some time, because now we have characters that are in the hunt path, we have characters that are in erudition now, we have characters that are in every single other type of path that are now taking up the powerhouse front. And it's funny seeing the fall from grace that destruction usually had. Now we are seeing that we're going to get another DPS, what it seems like, in the destruction path, which I'm super excited for. He looks really freaking cool, I'm not gonna lie. By far, probably one of my favorite designs for a male in this game. I think everyone should know this by now if you've been here for quite some time. I am a huge fan of Blade, and having a character that looks like this is really cool to me, in my honest opinion. But let's go ahead and start talking about the same element, same path. What are we going to be looking at? How his kit might look like compared to the rest of his other, I could say, peers in the same element and path. First, let's go ahead and look at destruction, with our newest destruction being Firefly, of course. We have Firefly, we have Yunli, we have Clara, Jingli Yu, Blade, and Don Hung. Right now, we can 100% think that, actually, did Yunli come out before Firefly? I actually don't remember. It's been such a long time since these guys released. But looking at these characters, we're looking at Firefly with being a break character. I don't see us getting another break imaginary character because Rappa just released. It kind of wouldn't make sense in any way, shape, or form if they did do that in the most case. Just because for break purposes in all, we already have some of these spots filled up. You know, Rappa is our erudition break unit. Firefly is going to be our fire AoE break, I guess you could say. And realistically, there's just no need for another break character, especially with us moving into the next archetype, which is going to be the summon archetype, which I'm very excited for as well. So it seems that he might be a lone wolf by himself as a DPS, which, hey, I'm 100% for it. I really like the, I guess you could say, Hypercarry style of team, just because I like seeing characters just do really big numbers when they're buffed up like crazy, and that's really exciting to me. I do think what we're going to be looking at is going to be some type of regular DPS character like Blade, like Jingli Yu, like Don Hung, where they're able to just go ahead and do damage. And that is some competition when we start looking into the imaginary path, because man, have we gotten quite a few of these characters. Every single time they bring out an imaginary character, there's always guys. Besides Rappa, of course, and it seems to be the case as well with Harmony characters always being girls. It's just funny to find that comparison. But looking at the imaginary characters, of course, we still have Don Hung. Don Hung at the current moment has been a little bit put in the side for all intents and purposes, because him without his E2, he just takes a little bit too many resources, takes a little bit too much time to ramp up, takes a little too many specific things to get what he needs. And I feel like the damage modifiers on him aren't the craziest for the most part, unless again you have E2, which makes him current day meta relevant in all honesty. And besides Don Hung, we also have Dr. Ratio. Dr. Ratio basically got his job stolen from him with Fei Xiao's release, being the #1 hyper carry of the follow-up team. And of course, Fei Xiao already takes him out of the water just because she's able to act on everybody else's follow-up attack the same way he did, but just a little bit better because it actually funnels into her ultimate, which is actually really good. And other than that, there really isn't any other DPS in the imaginary path. It's all been really abundance characters, preservation characters, support characters. So we are looking at a main DPS character most likely. As I said before, Rappa is a imaginary break unit. We kind of have no reason to add another onto it. Of course, with Fugue being out, it kind of makes no sense to reopen that break category yet for quite some time, because I feel like they have everything they could possibly want. They got Fugue, they got Ruan Mei, they have their Rappa, their Boohill, their Firefly, and they also have Linksha. You have the plethora amount of amazing characters in that team alone that you really don't need to open up that vault until maybe later down the line, maybe towards the end of 3.0, where we might need some buffs to be able to keep up with all the summon shenanigans and all that different type of stuff. So most likely not a break character. I'm 100% okay with that. I love my break team without a doubt. By far my favorite team. It looks like Myday might actually be a regular DPS. And that means characters like Sunday might work with him. And that also means something that we also have to keep into account. the character before him, which is going to be Triby is going to be a character that is Harmony, so it could, for all intents and purposes, be for Myday, which would be kind of crazy if they did that. I don't think they've ever, if I can remember correctly, they've ever put a character that needs the other one right next to it. Maybe later down the line, yeah, but maybe not right next to it. So it is going to be a little bit interesting just to see how they're going to be working around a hyper carry DPS, if he is that. Just because we haven't seen a hyper carry character be able to work on the same playing field as a lot of these other characters. The same way with Acheron, how she has Dockeron, how she has hyper carry Acheron. That's a little different because she's stacking on a billion debuffs and that's giving her her ultimate non-stop. Same thing goes for Fei Xiao. You have a character who synergizes off of everybody's follow-ups in the team, and that's a pretty big return. Same thing even goes for characters like Firefly, characters like Rappa and Boohill. These characters have teams that are for their archetype. Every single member of the team is putting the pieces of the puzzle together and making a huge explosion of damage that not many other teams can replicate. So for a character to come out that is going to be imaginary destruction, this means that they have to have quite a bit in their kit just to be able to play on the same field as these archetype teams rather than just a common team. Characters like Fei Xiao, characters like Acheron, characters like the Break team are going to be at the top of the Star Rail meta for quite some time because they have teams built for that specific archetype. While we have Myday, who could be a hyper carry DPS, he's going to need characters that are going to be able to boost them so high up that the team damage of Myday's team equals up to whatever teams you put him against, which is Break, Acheron, and also looking at Fei Xiao as well. You're looking at some crazy characters that you need to pull. So I'm looking at characters like Sunday with all that he gives. He's giving that crit rate, that crit damage, that cleanse, that advance forward, the energy, all that different type of stuff that could work. Also looking at Triby, what could she bring that's going to make Myday be able to compete with these guys that are already in archetype teams? It is going to be super hard, and that's not even including that Sunday might have to leave to be with Aglia very soon, because remember, we are going to go for the Herda, who's coming up next, and then we got to go for Aglia, and Aglia is the first of the summon meta. So there's quite a bit to look forward to when it comes to what Myday is able to bring to the table and what other archetype teams that we currently have in the game, because we got follow-up, we got debuff, we also have Break, and now we're about to have summons. That's 4 teams too many, or 2 teams too many for the multiple amount of 2-team content that we have in the game. Until they bring something out that's 3 teams, maybe that's when Myday can shine. But I don't know. It's just really hard for me to see a world where Myday is able to compete with the team DPS of a lot of these other teams. We just have so many specific supports for specific units that it's going to be hard to tear them away from their most valuable characters they're going to be connected to, like having someone like Fugue with Firefly, or having someone like Fei Xiao with Topaz, or having someone like Sunday for Aglia. It's just a lot. It's going to be really hard for him, I'm not going to lie, but it is possible. It's always possible. There's always been times where characters can shine out of nowhere and they kind of put everybody else to shame for a MOC or two, like someone like Yunli. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about Yunli for a very long time, but Yunli is an amazing character. She can do some absolute damage, and although she does play into the follow-up archetype, she doesn't necessarily want the follow-up teammates, because for the most part, she wants as much energy as possible to be able to spam her ultimate with her parry. So characters like Tigun, characters like looking at Ho-Ho, and now we have Sunday as well, which could also be a pretty big benefit for Yunli. So yeah, there's just a lot of characters that can show up even with not being part of a certain archetype, but Myday has to put in the work to be able to get to these teams. And hey, I'm 100% fine with that being the case. If he can bring Hypercarry back as a regular team, because they haven't been in the meta for so long, it would be cool if it was him. But other than that, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all in the next one, and peace.